Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be looking at a couple of different things. But to start with, we're looking at the sky here for pretty much the middle of May. We're at 1:30 here in Ireland, which should put the sun at its highest in the sky. We can double check, I think, with this one. So if we move through a few different days here, we'll see the sun gets higher as we move through the days because we are still moving closer and closer to summertime. If we move through time here, we can see that the sun around 1:30 seems to be at its highest. We can see it sort of moving down a little bit to the side. So we'll use the other grid, which should demonstrate that a little bit better. So this grid is immobile compared to the sun. This is fixed at our zenith, whereas the other grid, the alt-azimuth grid, it is connected to the North Star, the North Pole, and the rotation of the Earth. So here we go. We can see the sun isn't exactly dead center there. There it is. We can see that it's staying pretty much around that line for this time, but it does seem to reach its highest pretty much there. We can see we're only getting sort of a chord across the bottom of the sun, and it's just about 1:30. So we can use this grid here. You can see it's got these marks along the side, so we can use that to figure out how many degrees around the sky the sun is. The other grid, you can see there, we can tell how many degrees up in the sky it is as well. The other grid does much the same, just from a slightly different frame of reference. We can see our 0 is there. But if we want to measure from the ground, we can use the angle measure tool. So you might remember from a previous video where I discussed the angle measure tool and measuring angles in the sky. So this will let us measure how high in the sky an object is as well. So just dragging up to the sun there, 55 degrees up in the sky. That is how high in the sky the sun is getting, roughly. I'll bring that a little bit closer. It moves with the sky, that's handy. In case we need to measure things across various dates, or in case we want to measure something across the course of the night. I wonder if it will jump in a similar way for the days. It does, so we can see that sort of drifting across the sky there. But we can also see that definitely shows us the sun is getting higher. It's getting higher than that line in the sky. And if we draw another line, we can see 56 degrees. If we move through the dates, we can see that it stays the same, but the height of the sun changes. So as we move forward, we can see it getting higher and higher. Now, that is because of the Earth's tilt with regard the sun. If we move into nighttime, get rid of that angle measure tool, and we will move through to nighttime. We're just looking forward to the end of the month here, so nothing will be extremely different. Turn around here to the north, and we'll measure the angle from the North Star. So there we go, and we'll double check just to be safe. Yep, there's the plough, the Big Dipper pointing down to the North Star directly over north. Doesn't hurt to double check, and we will drag our angle down there. Not exactly spot on, so that's showing 51 degrees, which isn't quite right. If we're bang on the North Star, it should be closer to 52, and just down to the horizon, which now I can't see. So let's see. Yeah, there we go. Pretty much bang on the horizon and pretty much bang on the North Star, just about 52 degrees. So this is the angle of the North Star up in the sky, but this is also the location of our current latitude on the Earth. This is how far away from the North Pole we are. So we can very quickly test that by hopping up to the North Pole. And rather than clicking around up there, I think it might be best to just... it's showing me there at 51. It's showing me a little bit lower than I'd expect, but off by a part of a degree. These minutes, hours, and seconds, these degrees of arc, there are multiple of 60, so that's going to change. This 53 here isn't halfway to 52 degrees. It's most of the way to 52 degrees. Just a few more degrees, or I suppose it's going to change the full degrees rather than the minutes and the seconds. There we go. So I can change the minutes and the seconds here. Or maybe it depends on how I click, but we can see there climbing up from 53. Once it reaches 59, it ticks over because 60 is the unit here. It's a base 60 system. Either way, we don't need to worry too much about that. If we go all the way up there, we're seeing it at 85 degrees north, but we should be able to push this just a little bit more. There we go. That is the North Pole. So this now no longer matters. If you're standing on the North Pole, your longitude isn't going to matter at all, because this should really be sent zero or something like zero as well. But here we go. Way up at the North Pole, and of course it is summertime, so we're not going to get a night, or perhaps we will. Maybe we will get a little bit of night. The sun doesn't seem to be getting lower. Yeah, by the end of May, we're definitely getting the midnight sun. Of course, that makes sense. The midnight sun lasts for months once we're up at the North Pole. And we've got that still measuring from the North Star, or it was, showing 52 degrees across the sky. But if we get rid of the atmosphere and bring back the North Star into the sky, there we go. So there's the North Star, there's our plow or our Big Dipper. So we can use the angle tool, and hopefully I can get this straight across the sky. There we go. It's showing 89, but maybe I haven't clicked exactly on the North Star. And of course the North Star isn't exactly dead center. It is a little bit off, but pretty much 90 degrees there. We can do this for any location on Earth, any latitude. Of course, it's going to be easier when we start going closer to the equator, because we won't have to worry about the sun staying in the sky the entire time. But let's, for example, just grab a location here, down by, North Africa, Southern Europe. That's fine. This here we can see the latitude is 34 degrees. We've got our atmosphere off, but we don't need it anymore because we can make it nighttime. Let's turn around to the north. We'll use the plow or the Big Dipper. We're after going all the way through to morning time, so the plow or the Big Dipper is very low in the sky. Here we go. And you can already see that the North Star is lower in the sky here than it was for us in Ireland. It's visible, but if we actually measure it, here we go. 34. Again, give or take. This tool isn't the most accurate thing in the world. I'm a little off the North Star. I'm maybe a little off the equator, but 34 degrees roughly. If you were measuring it very, very accurately, if you had a very accurate angle measure or something like a sextant, sextants were used for measuring the angles of things in the skies, and I will be able to show a sextant hopefully in just a second. But we can see here the angle of the North Star above the horizon. It matches the latitude on the Earth. And, if we move through dates here, we can see that line rotating. But let's just jump through a bunch of dates here, and we'll come all the way back a couple of months. We'll come all the way back to the middle of winter. So, we'll go forward a little bit again to the middle of winter, or close to the middle of winter. So now the sun would be very, very low in the sky, but the North Star remains at the same height, just about. Well, it's very hard to measure it, as I said, but just about 34, 35 degrees up in the sky. It is a little bit tricky using this tool to be very accurate, but we can see that the principle pretty much holds. The North Star stays at the same height in the sky over the course of the year, whereas the sun and the moon will change height in the sky over the course of the year. So we'll hop back to the default location. Because the constellation of Sextans is up at the moment, I believe, so we'll travel back to the current moment, or at least close to it. It's a little bit further ahead. Yeah, around here should do. Of course, we're very close to the full moon at the moment, so getting the moon out of the sky is going to make things a little bit easier to see. And let's bring up our constellations. There it is. There is Sextans. So this is Sextans, the sextant, and it is a constellation based on a navigational tool. So this constellation, this one is newer than the traditional Greek constellations like the other ones we can see here. Of course, the ancient Greeks didn't have sextants, or at least they certainly didn't have these kinds of fancy brass ones with glass lenses in them. So with this tool, which is being seen here at a bit of an awkward angle, you look in here. This little portion is kind of like the eyepiece of a telescope, and then you have this hanging measure and this arc along the side. So depending on where you're pointing this in the sky, this weight, or potentially this weight, will hang down and show level, and then you can use this angle here to measure how far away from level you're pointing this eyepiece. I'm pretty sure this other arm would be used as a marker to help you remember what angle you are looking for. For example, if you were traveling north and you wanted to make sure you had gone the right amount north, you could use this part of the sextant to mark out what angle you want to see the North Star at, and then as you look through, as you move further and further north, and that angle increases and increases, eventually things would line up and you'd see that you are as far north as you want to be, and then you could take a left turn, head towards land, whatever your plans might be. So that's just a little bit of the use of the angle tool. I will come back to the height of the moon here in summer compared to the height of the moon in winter, perhaps in a later video, but just a demonstration of the usefulness of the angle tool and how it relates to the North Star at least. So I hope you enjoyed this little video about measuring angles in the sky. Another video about measuring angles of the sky now that I have the tool handy. Of course, I encourage you to head back and look at the previous video where I measured angles related to the galactic equator as well. So it was an interesting video in my humble opinion. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like it. If you enjoy this kind of content, then you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can also read some of this information on my website, queevinscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.